Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of Community Partnership Chat. I'm Adriana Dawson, and I'm part of Verizon's State and Government Affairs team. And I also have the pleasure of overseeing our community engagement efforts for Rhode Island and Central and Western Mass. And today, friends, we have another amazing guest with us as we continue to celebrate Black History Month. And I would love to introduce you all to my friend, Kola Akindele. Kola is the Assistant Vice President of External Relations and Partnerships at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, also known as WPI. Welcome, Kola.
Oh, thank you, Adriana, for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time to join us. So before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about Worcester Polytechnic Institute, please?
Great, thank you. I'm proud to be a member of WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute. And WPI is a gem in the second largest city in New England, right? It's a top tier technological university with over 5,000 undergrads and over 2,000 graduate students. And what we do, and we're proud of the fact that we do this quite well, is we transform lives by revolutionizing STEM. And we work on projects and we, do research and we teach so that we can address some of the world's global challenges. And our students are excited and encouraged to do that. Our faculty members are excited to be able to inspire students who are committed to doing that. We have 4 schools, the School of Arts and Sciences, which is where our humanities programs and our sciences like chemistry and biochemistry are housed. We have obviously our School of Engineering, which is sort of our niche and sort of our foundation. And then we have our School of Business, which is where our MBA program and our business programs are housed. And then we have a new school started maybe about if I'm not mistaken, 2.5 years ago, called the Global School. And the idea around the Global School is to really inspire civic engagement amongst our students and really to foster an environment whereby, there could be some interdisciplinary work to address global challenges. So we have, what's called an IQP, which is this sort of interactive qualifying project. And it's this junior year project whereby, students come together from various disciplines to go and address a problem somewhere around the world. We have, about 50 project centers across the globe. And a lot of the organizations that we partner with identify a particular problem. And students from engineering to business to, so the yards come together and begin to devise solutions to some of these problems. We even have a project center right here in Worcester working on problems that matter to our community. So again, what WPI does is we do STEM for good, and it's an exciting place to be.
Well, and I love that. I love that for us, and I love that for the community. And thank you for all that you do and WPI does. And I think what we were both equally passionate about, and one of the things that drew me to WPI was also the community engagement work. So I want to recognize and acknowledge the amazing student community that you have and the student population on the campus and beyond. But I also want to spend a little bit more time on our connection and how we engaged, which is how WPI reaches out into the community, because I do recognize it's an incredible anchor in Worcester and beyond. But how you are reaching out to hard to reach communities and introducing STEM and STEAM opportunities to youth and young people to get them excited. So can you tell us a little bit more about why community engagement is so important to WPI and the types of STEM related programming you're offering to the surrounding community?
Sure. Yeah, and I think you're exactly right, Adriana, in that we're an anchor in the community. So I was born and raised in Worcester, right? And I've seen many things come and go in Worcester, but the thing that has remained a constant is higher ed and places like WPI, and perhaps some of our healthcare institutions. So again, when we talk about what bodes well for the community, there's this sort of this sort of interdependence between the community and places like WPI, because what bodes well for one bodes well for the other, right? So I think we understand that and we appreciate that, and we realize that we need to have a vested interest in what happens in the community. So again, we know that the vibrancy of a community begins with the the level of education, the opportunities that the folks within the community have, and we have a role to play in that, right? So we want to make sure that we provide these opportunities for those who are coming up in the city of Worcester to get an education that transforms lives. Again, if you look at STEM, STEM is one of the strongest driver of social mobility.
Right.
And what we want to do is to offer opportunities for folks within our communities to have that opportunity to move up on the social ladder, because again, it bodes well for our community, right? These folks are going to come back and meet the workforce needs of our companies and industry in the local area. They're going to come back and invest in their communities, and then that means a lot for where we stay and where we call our home in WPI, and even across the Commonwealth, and even across the region in New England.
Right.
So, one, it's good to do it, right? There's a social good in terms of making sure that or reaching out and making sure folks have these opportunities. But there's also a benefit for us as well too, and a benefit for the community for doing it. So we have a number of programs that help to introduce kids to STEM and expose them to this area of interest. We have colleges, we have programs that range from third and fourth grades of middle school all the way through high school. There are programs that are half a day whereby students come in and are exposed to things like robotics and coding, etc. And we have 2-week residency programs where students come in and are on campus, immersed here, get to experience college life and what it means, and then get to be exposed to the various STEM careers. We have programs that help to sort of close the gap between, those who have traditionally been involved in STEM and those who haven't, right? So, for instance, our Girls Who Code program, which is really targeted towards girls to ensure that we're closing that gap so that girls could also be exposed to STEM careers as well, too. And then we also have, these are a lot of the programs that cater to our students. But we have programs that cater to the teachers as well too, because we understand that we also need to make sure that we have, teachers and faculty members who are going to inspire students to get into STEM. So we have a number of professional development programs that help to advance teachers within a number of districts their aptitude to teach STEM to their students. We work at a number of in a number of districts. We also work with after-school programs to teach teachers and to train teachers on how to teach math and science and some of these other STEM areas.
No, that's great. And it sounds like you have a phenomenal job, and that's actually my next question, because similarly, as my community engagement efforts and strategic investments have come into the city of Worcester, and I've been collaborating along with my colleague, Ellen Cummings, I've noticed that many of the events in Worcester that I've been attending lately, either Kola is there, or when I meet people are like, you have to meet Kola. And so can you tell the folks that are joining us today, tell us a little bit more about the work that you lead? How are you supporting WPI and the community and sort of engaging with the various collaborators and stakeholders in the ecosystem there?
No, it's great, and I love this job. And as you can attest to, it's great to do this for a living, right? To go out and engage and network and be a connector. So I love doing this work, and I think the icing on the cake is I get to do this work in a place that I grew up in, right? So again, when we talk about giving back, I'm actually giving back, literally. So what I do, again, my title is AVP for External Relations and Partnerships, is, I look for partners who can help us move our agenda forward and move their agenda forward, simultaneously, right? So again, as I talked about, what bodes well for the community bodes well for us. Our fates are sort of inextricably tied. So, there are a number of things that we want to do as a higher institution that impact the community. And what I do is I look for partners in the community on the local, state, and federal level here in Worcester, across the Commonwealth, and nationally to help advance our priorities and hopefully, mutually help advance their priorities as well too. So I oversee a team of folks, from corporate relations to foundation relations to community and government relations, right? So on the corporate relations end, we look to partner with our corporate partners to help address their needs and to ensure that we have students coming out, with the knowledge and the skills to help address their workforce needs. So they support us in that endeavor going forward. We also have foundation partners who have priorities to help, make a difference in the world. Right? A lot of the research and the work we do make a difference in the world. So we have, obviously natural partners by just based on interest and based on areas of concern. On the community side, we work with, neighborhood organizations, community organizations, our local city council and school committee members, to help, address needs and push agendas forward that could benefit both the city and WPI. And then none of this could be done without, federal support and obviously federal funding. And, part of my role is to go out and work with our elected officials on the state and federal level to ensure we have the necessary support to sort of advance agendas, and then to also meet some of their priority areas as well too.
No, absolutely. And I hope you have woven Verizon in that strategy of partner engagement and partner development, because, where I would like to spend just a few minutes before we unfortunately have to wrap up this great conversation is I'd love to better understand how partners like Verizon and others can continue to support your efforts with the introduction of STEM and STEAM to historically excluded populations and communities, or how we can, continue to engage in this community work to help drive impact. So I'd love your thoughts on how we can continue to be a good partner to WPI and the community that you serve.
Thank you, Adriana. And we're already doing this, Adriana. So we've had several conversations about, how we can make an impact in Worcester, and how you and Verizon can become more engaged and connected to partners in Worcester and Central Mass. Again, WPI can't do this alone, and realize that we don't have the resources, the bandwidth, and perhaps the strength to do this alone. We need partners with a variety of skills and talents and resources to help push the ball forward. So I think we're looking for a thought partner here as well too, right? We can work together to identify problems, or partner with community organizations and the city and the state to begin to understand what the issues are, the problems are, and then come together as institutions from various industries to begin to bring together our resources, our talents, and our know-how based on where we sit to help address some of those problems. So again, we can partner with us in terms of being a thought partner, in terms of also being simultaneously connected to these organizations and partners to really begin to make an impact locally and across the board.
No, absolutely. And you already know we have you on speed dial. Kola's on speed dial. I have sort of every access point to him because he knows, that when it comes to Worcester and Central Mass, Kola and WPI, you all have been an amazing partner to myself and my colleague Ellen in our efforts to weave ourselves more intentionally into the fabric of the community and to the work that you're doing. So again, unfortunately, we're sort of closing on this conversation, but the work continues.
It certainly does.
The partnership continues to evolve, and we are extremely excited to join you in community in Worcester. I've had several amazing experiences, and thanks to you, we continue to build our people capital there, get to know organizations and key influencers and activities that are taking place. So thank you for bringing Verizon, into that space and helping us develop those key relationships and partnerships. And thank you for being so generous with your time today and spending a few minutes with us. As my featured guest, again, in celebration of Black History Month. Thank you for the work that you lead, and let's go. Let's continue the good work, right?
Well, thank you. Thank you for being a willing partner, and I look forward to the work we're going to do together.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Kola. We'll talk soon. And everyone, thanks again for tuning in to another edition of Community Partnership Chat.